Cheech's Dees Fest Family Music Festival, now in its fourth year, is taking place July 28th through 30th at Bluebird Campground. 27 bands over 3 days, including Greg Hall and the Wrecking Ball with Nicholas David, the White Iron Band, and Feeding Leroy. Learn more at greghallmusic.com. People's Food Co-op is your neighborhood grocery store, owned by 12,000 of your friends and neighbors. They serve high-quality foods, natural products, and support local farmers, featuring organic produce, meat and seafood, house-made bakery, deli, and more. You don't have to be an owner to shop. Learn more at www.pfc.coop. The Prairie Dog Blues Fest is coming up, July 27th through the 29th, held on St. Ferial Island right on the Mississippi River. Blues and roots music from Chicago blues to West Coast drum, Mississippi Hill country blues, New Orleans horns, and Texas boogie to blues rock. Get tickets and on-site camping at prairiedogblues.com. We connected with guitarist and blues artist Tommy Bentz. We chatted about early beginnings, getting turned on to the blues, the new album 1,000 Reasons, and what to expect when he hits the stage for Cheech's Dees Fest Family Music Festival. Listen to our podcast at lacrosselocal.com or your preferred podcast app. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is Lacrosse Local.
I was actually born in Racine, Wisconsin, but I moved up to the La Crosse area, and I lived for the first part of my life in Elmo, Wisconsin, right up the river.
So was music something that was always in your childhood home, or is it something that you learned later in life, or how did that work for you? How did you get exposed to it?
Well, I was going to Montessori school in Winona, and that was in a summer program thing, like in somewhere between 4 and 5, and they a lot of times will have violins as part of the vernacular in the Montessori programs, and so it just seemed like, hey, do you want to do that? I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And so eventually I started taking violin lessons, and that was like my first exposure to like playing an instrument and learning music. And then eventually I had the opportunity to be, you're in choir when you're a kid, and because everybody takes, school music and stuff, and general music as they call it, and then ultimately joined the band and learned how to play the oboe and then the saxophone, and I wanted to play guitar. I thought, I wanted to learn how to play guitar and sing and write songs, and I thought that was really cool. And a buddy of mine also played guitar, and he was way more had done it longer than I had. And so I asked my parents to give me some lessons, and they rented me a guitar, and here we are.
So what took you down the path of the blues?
A lot of teenagers, you're sort of excited and enriched by fast songs, whether it's like metal or punk or just hard rock or whatever. And I thought that was really cool. And then I tried to learn how to play that fast, and it was kind of tricky. And my teacher at the time, my first guitar teacher, was like, well, here, let's check out some of this stuff. He started playing me like vintage Yes songs and James Gang and the Allman Brothers and Eric Clapton. And I was just like, oh, hey, this is pretty cool. I could do this. So I started going down that path. And then I also enjoyed singer-songwriters, and so I realized that the more melodic, and again, that's nothing against punk and metal and all that, just because there's some extremely melodic people in that genre, but I realized that this was more comfortable for me. I could do that, and I could write like that, and I could perform those songs and feel comfortable.
So checking out your sound here and your albums over the past day or two, the last album was in 2021, 1,000 Reasons.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like writing and recording for that album? Was that a long process? Or I know a lot of musicians with that release in that area was affected by COVID. So I'm wondering what your recording process was like.
It was before that. I'm always kind of like working on songs. I had some in the can, but then trying to get some of those done and finish those during that time period, that was definitely emotional for a variety of ways. I ended a long-term relationship, and even though some of the songs when I started writing them were about somebody else, I think they're really about me to a certain degree. But when I write songs, I try to keep them a bit open-ended and not necessarily like this song is about John or the song's about Susie. I want people to be able to take what they can take from it. I mean, because that's what you want for art. When somebody looks at a painting or somebody watches a play, they want it to you want it to affect that person individually in their own way. So I think there was a lot of emotions and trying to take the music to the next level. And every time you release an album, it's like another child. And I was trying to really take the next step in representing who the band is and who I am and the music and all that. So it was a lot of heavy emotions, and it was just sort of a recognition that I wanted to take the next step, if you will.
The time to walk on water is gonna pass me by.
Prevention is the key to a healthy life. That's why Gunderson Health encourages you to learn about vaccines and how they can help you and your loved ones stay healthy. Vaccines protect against preventable diseases and viruses by boosting your body's defenses. Visit GundersonHealthVax.com to learn more. Driftless Music Gardens presents People Fest, coming up August 10th through 11th, a music and camping extravaganza set in the beautiful rolling hills of the Driftless region of Wisconsin, the best mini fest in the whole Midwest. Learn more, buy tickets, and on-site camping at driftlessmusicgardens.com.
I've seen your name along with Greg Hall on the Wrecking Ball a few times. I know you guys kind of like get up on each other's shows or you double build. You'll be hitting the stage for Cheech's Dees Fest Family Music Festival in the end of July.
Yes.
What can people expect from your shows?
We played a couple years ago. Actually, I think it was 3 years ago.
Okay.
And and we've also done an Allman Brothers tribute thing too. That Greg and I kind of got going, and so we've done a few of those in between. I would say that you're going to hear kind of a muscular band with bluesy rock songs with a lot of melodicism and some good vocals, and and hopefully people dig the tunes. I often describe it as kind of Van Morrison meets the Allman Brothers, but people always take things. Sometimes they throw like Robin Ford, sometimes I get Steely Dan, sometimes I get bits of Rory Gallagher. So there's all these different influences.
What's coming up for you? What are you excited for? It looks like you got a number of shows also booked for the summer, but what's on the horizon?
Yeah. Well, we got Deech Fest, which is awesome. We're going to be playing a concert series up in the Silver Bay, Duluth area in July. So that'll be really cool. Beautiful, obviously. We've got a bunch of outdoor patio shows, several in the Twin Cities in Hopkins, and we play also several places in cities, Shaw's and Schooner and KJ's, and this fall going to do another tour to England and Scotland. So excited about that. Did that last fall, and we've been working on some new material. So I'm hoping to start recording sometime in the summer, first part of fall, and try to release that early next year.
So people can check that all out at TommyBentz.com.
Excellent. Yes.
One thing I like to ask musicians, is there anything that you're currently spinning right now?
I've been listening to a lot of Rory Gallagher. That, and well, honestly, I do some solo shows, and with the passing of Gordon Lightfoot, sometimes I think about like these great writers like him. And when I was a kid, I remember listening to the record of Edmund Fitzgerald, and it's just like this haunting song. And so I'm going to attempt to play it this Saturday, and it's not an easy tune to like do by yourself. There's 7 verses and they're long, and I'm going to try to figure out how to do that lick in there in between like loops and stuff.
So I imagine the Cheech's Dees Fest Family Music Festival set's going to be a little bit more rambunctious than that, right?
Oh yeah, and the one thing about that is our good friend Matt Becker is going to be joining us.
Yep.
Matt keys on the album. And so we got him for 3 shows this summer. It's always a treat to play with Matt. And so we're going to be doing a lot of the tunes off the latest album, as well as we'll throw in some Allman Brothers in there too.
Well, thanks for taking the time to chat with me. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me.
Lacrosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at Lacrosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the Lacrosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.